As you probably saw on my channel, I occasionally show you that I'm not from an English-speaking country, and I actually try to hide it from you because of privacy, but I probably failed doing that. So I admit, I'm from a modest country called Kazakhstan, which is located in Central Asia. Why did I say that, you might ask? Well, today's video topic is related to Apple products in third world countries, and why people underestimate how different it could be compared to more developed countries, how illogical their prices can be, and trust me, that's really deeper topic today. Now let's get into it. Alright, let's start the topic with the prices. You might already think that prices in third world countries are just twice as high, like just pay double and buy a MacBook. Well, that sounds dramatic and simple, but I wish it were that simple because it's not. Let me make it clear. In most countries like Kazakhstan, Indonesia, India, Mexico, and so on, countries not directly related to developed economies, there's no such thing as an Apple store. Yeah, we don't buy Apple products from official stores. And I should mention that I can only partially call these countries third world countries because technically that term doesn't really exist anymore. But who cares? I'll still use it so it's easier to understand. So if there's no Apple store in my country, where do we buy Apple products from? Most of the time, we have two choices. First, go to a more developed country and buy it there. But that's tough. You have to apply for a visa, which can take a month of bureaucracy, pay for visa services, wait for approval, and then buy a flight ticket, which is expensive for ordinary people. Then you still need to book a hotel for a day or two until you return flight. So the actual cost of getting the MacBook ends up being almost 3x the real price. Not just the Mac itself, but also the travel and accommodation. These options only make sense if you're already going to that country for another reason. So what if you're not going to the US just for a MacBook? And that's where the second choice comes in. And it's the one most people in developing countries rely on. We have suppliers, tech resellers who buys devices from the US or Europe and sell them locally. You'll find these tech stores in Kazakhstan, India, Brazil, the Philippines, etc. Sounds easier, right? But it's still not that simple. These suppliers have to pay import taxes, custom fees, logistic costs, and then add their margin on top, which drives prices up even more. And don't forget, these countries people also earn way less from their jobs. So imagine working a 9-to-5 job in India, and you want to buy a MacBook. First, your salary is probably 4x lower than American or European teen. And second, you have to pay 2x more for the same product. Do you feel the gap now? For example, the MacBook Air M4 costs $999 in the official US Apple Store. But in countries like Brazil or Kazakhstan, it's around $1,500 or $1,800. I bought mine for about $1,570. And believe it or not, that's not even the most frustrating part. The real pain starts when you realize how limited we are with Apple's refurbished store and education store. But more on that next. By the way, I know a lot of you guys watch my videos because you're into tech, coding, or just trying to change your career at some point. And since I always tell you the truth, I need to say this clearly. This part is actually sponsored by boot.dev. Now, I don't promote random stuff. They gave me access to their platforms first so I could actually try it, and I did. And honestly, I wish I had this back when I tried learning to code because it doesn't feel like studying at all. It feels like you're playing a game and accidentally becoming a backend developer. Like, you're not just watching videos, you're actually writing code in Python, SQL, or even Go while doing quests, earning XP, fighting bosses, and unlocking levels. And there's this AI bear wizard called Boots who helps you when you get stuck. But he doesn't just give you the answers instantly, he kind of pushes you to understand it yourself, which is fun and doesn't make you feel dumb. And what I respect the most is that all the content is free to read and watch. You only pay if you want the interactive features like coding directly in the browser, the AI assistant, progress tracking, the game mechanics, all that. Plus, there is a 30-day refund if someone changes their mind, so it's not a scammy thing. So if you're serious about learning to code but you hate boring tutorials, try it using my link. Go to boot.dev and use my code AMAN to get 25% off your first year on the annual plan. I'll also leave the link and the QR code in the description and on the screen. Alright, now let's back to the video. Yeah, as I said earlier, we don't have a single Apple store, not official, not refurbished, and not even educational. If you don't know what those are, let me explain. A refurbished store is where Apple sells refurbished devices which have been repaired or had their battery replaced. But that doesn't mean those devices are old, they're almost like new, and they even come with a 1-year warranty from Apple. And those are up to 30% cheaper than the brand new models. That's cool because sometimes people really want to save money and don't mind if the device isn't brand new. And honestly, I'm one of them. I don't care if my Mac isn't new, as long as it's 30% cheaper. That means I can spend the money I saved on more important things. But no, in my country we don't have that option. And if that's not enough to be jealous of, I'm also sad we don't have an educational store. Those are also really useful for people who want to save money. They give 5 to 10% discounts for students. And I'm a student. Well, I'll graduate next year, but still. It's sad that students in third world or developing countries don't have access to those benefits. And if you actually look at what real students in my country go through, most of them can't even afford a basic meal, live with 5-6 roommates, work 2 jobs, and still go to university at the same time. It's crazy, but that's reality. Most of them will probably never even think about buying a Mac. So maybe it makes sense that we don't have those stores. Sad joke though. And if someone tells me I shouldn't complain because I'm a man, well, I can at least complain here. Because in my country we don't even get warranty support from Apple. Maybe I shouldn't worry, right? Because the tech store gives us a 1-year warranty. Well, yes, most of them do offer warranties for a year, but here's the catch. Those warranties are just based on the country's buyer protection laws. They give them just to make you feel confident. Because if your Mac breaks, no one is going to fix it. They'll just twist the warranty rules to avoid losing money. I'm not making this up. There have been tons of cases where people tried to get their money back or replace a product, and the response was basically blaming the customer or pointing to rules that had nothing to do with the real problem. So now that you know how hard is it to get Apple products in a third world country, let me show you how people actually treat them. Alright, so first of all, Apple products in my country used to be treated like hypercars back in 2015 or 2017. And honestly, they're still kinda seen that way, just a bit less now. I don't know if people actually got richer or if the economy pretended to grow, but something changed on the surface. Because when you look around, it feels like everyone has a new iPhone or every second student has a MacBook. But that doesn't mean people are rich, it just means everyone is sitting on a loan. Let me give you an official fact from the internet. In my country, the average wage is around 400,000 tenge, which is about $750. So the average person earns $750 a month. But not only is this number fake because you barely see anyone earning that, but a new iPhone 17 256GB, not even the Pro or Max, costs around $1,200 here, while in the Apple Store it costs around $800. And here's the difference. In America, people earn about $66,000 a year, which is $5,500 a month. They can buy an iPhone 17 256GB with just 1/6 of their salary from the official store with a warranty and in whatever color they want. Meanwhile, in my country, to buy the same iPhone 17 256GB, you'd have to work 2 months without eating, without paying bills, or you'd need to take a loan for 2 years and pay monthly, and still have no official warranty and buy the cheapest color. This is the difference between buying an Apple product in a third world country. Yet still, when I walk around on the bus, outside or whatever, everyone has this damn iPhone. Even I have one. I bought mine on loan, by the way. No one wants to use a normal phone that can do everything an iPhone can. Because of their ego and because Apple's marketing is almost perfect, so even people who are struggling will buy it without hesitation. It's insane and not normal. And here's another thing that gets on my nerves. Updates. You know how Apple products without their operating systems are just expensive metal? An iPhone without iOS or a MacBook without macOS is literally a brick. That's why people get so hyped every time a new updates drop, even if it's not a real innovation and just some design changes. But here's the annoying part. Those updates don't roll out to us at the same time as the US or Europe. Usually the new features are tested first in the places like London, New York, or some European countries. And only after a while do the updates finally reach people in countries like mine. And that sucks because sometimes you actually want to experience something first like everyone else. Imagine you're a blogger in a developing country and you want to review the update the day it comes out. You can't. You're stuck waiting while everyone else is already posting their videos. So at the end of the day, I think this is a big issue that should be mentioned anyway. For some people, it'll be educational, while for others just entertainment. However you watch it, I think there's no one to blame. You might say Apple is evil. Well, not really. Apple is just profit-based and selective. For them, countries like Kazakhstan, India, Brazil, etc. are just secondary markets due to logistics, demand, and legal systems. They're mostly hard to manage. It's not about one person or one company. It's a system built for rich markets. And our countries get what's left. Apple doesn't care enough to fix it, governments don't make it attractive or easy, resellers take advantage, salaries don't match real prices, and consumers keep feeding the cycle. That's all. So if you liked the video, thanks for watching and take care.